Hi and welcome back to The Chat with Mike and Matt. I'm Mike.
And I'm Matt.
And this is episode 3.
Episode 3, Men and Emotional Expression.
Starting with cultural conditioning. Now, whether that be, I suppose, more appropriate to the younger
ones,
the younger ones.
The kind of boys don't cry mindset.
Yeah.
I think, which obviously nowadays...
We know now that it is obviously taught within schools. We did do the research. So, what does it fall under? Is it like sex education?
Sex education, religious studies, and mental health.
Right, so it all kind of falls into the packaging as well.
Something like that.
I was working in a school the other week, helping with their show, and I went and...
You're allowed to work in schools.
Yeah, I will be getting my DBS training sorted out. But whilst I was using the facilities, I was sort of sat there, and across on the door was a little mental health notice.
You sent it to me.
I have actually done it. And
you sent it to me.
Funnily enough, it's...
what did it say?
It's Mike's story, which I thought was funny because obviously that's my name. And so I was like, oh, okay. And it was kind of just about like him reaching out and stuff. So it is in your face almost.
Yeah.
But then I was never one that would have a poo at school. Personally, I'd always come back here, so I'd never have seen it.
Not toilet talk in
the toilets.
This episode.
So that might not. And obviously, I to be fair, I didn't then see it anywhere else. But then I wasn't sort of looking for it. To be fair, but yeah, like they are promoting it. But there is still people out there who do have young children who kind of have that mentality of...
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know of some children who...
Friends of yours.
I know some children. No, but just for an example, they know that they shouldn't cry in front of their parents. I can't keep a straight face now.
Sorry.
When I talk to these kids, no, but I know they don't cry in front of, their dad because, their dad has got the attitude that, you're a man's man. You don't cry, and things like that. So I still think it is difficult because that culture still is about.
And that's what I was going to say. It is a culture sort of
like
thing.
It hasn't. Yes, it's being brought up and being taught in schools, and it's a lot more aware, but it still hasn't gone away.
Yeah,
and it'll be a long, long time, I think, before it all does eventually go away. So yes, I do think the man up, boys don't cry. That I just want to say, culture.
It is, I suppose.
Yeah,
because we both. I don't know. I can't speak for your dad. I know my dad sort of was, sort of raised in masculinity and stuff, and he was in the army and things, and that kind of like transcended down a bit to I'm not saying he wasn't a caring dad or anything, but like definitely just wanted you to be as tough as you can because the world is scary out there, and I understand that now looking back to a certain degree, but I think then for me then like I want my son to be able to kind of be emotional because I get it. Like I don't want him to be sort of like worry and stuff. I don't want him to sort of hold things back, and
you don't want him to hide anything.
Yeah,
from
and
you.
I suppose that's what the difference between my mum and my dad. Like I'll tell my mum everything, so I knew that she wouldn't sort of like get upset.
And
with
as
me.
a parent as well, you want your kids to tell you if they have a problem. You want, because as a parent, you want to do anything to help them out.
It's trust, isn't it? You just want them to be able to just sort of trust you.
You just want them to be happy.
But yeah, like you say, there are, I know, I mean, even when you just sort of see it out and about in town and stuff, just the way that of like this. And I know it's easy for me to sit on my high horse and be like, I'm not saying that I am the best parent in the world. I am far from it, but I know that I love my children. I wouldn't do anything to actually like hurt them. But there are like some people out there who I can't believe the way that they speak to their kids, and it's like
you hear it a lot nowadays though as well. It's quite sad.
And you just think like,
but then again, we're not ones to judge how they want to raise their kids.
No, of course not.
You know,
and I'm sure a lot of these kids turn out just fine.
Exactly. We're not here to comment on that, really, are we?
Well, it's opinion, Matt. I think we can probably comment on most things, to be fair.
It is, yeah, you're right. It's opinions, isn't it?
Yeah, let's talk about the cost of suppression.
So let's start off by talking about, like, I know it is for me, and I think it is for you. One of your kind of like coping mechanisms is bottling up.
Yeah.
Like for me, that's the main thing. That's all what I've always done. If I ever have a problem, bottle it up. It's fine. Goes away. It doesn't, but you deal with it.
Yeah.
Like, so I feel, there's lots of different things that can lead to bottling up. Like feelings of anxiety.
Yeah.
Anger as well.
Social eclipsing people. I think like sort of becoming a bit more of a recluse.
Like bottling it up, I feel could lead to so many things.
Or substance abuse, maybe.
Yeah. Not so much for us because we don't have the money to buy any. But I mean, if I was loaded, who knows?
Sure. But then that could be any alcohol in itself. We're not just saying drugs or hard drugs or what have you. Like, but it's still then it becomes a costly thing that creates more sort of
exactly
downward spiral.
And also like the emotional side to it, the emotional suppression as well. It can lead to relationship breakdowns as well.
Yeah, whether it be like actually like a relationship with a romantic one or even just with friends, I suppose. What emotion looks like in men?
So, what does it look like?
Looks like this.
So often men show their emotion, I feel, through irritability, anger.
Yeah, when things are going bad.
When things are going bad.
Yeah.
I think that's what I do. Irritability. Is that you pronounce?
Oh God, no! I've done the eye squelch.
Oh, see that's what we were talking about earlier.
Oh no. Emotional damage.
I think irritability.
I
don't know why I struggle.
Irritability.
I don't know why I struggle with that word. That's what I think I struggle the most with. When I'm feeling down, I get pissed off at everything.
Little things and
like little things trigger me. Like,
are you sleeping all right at night? Like,
no.
So that's just it. Like,
I'm tired.
You're tired. The lack of sleep
all the time.
That's definitely going to make you irritable. That's just it's unavoidable.
Yeah.
You're tired. You're going to be a dick because you just can't. All of that extra effort that you have to put into putting a smile on, even that extra sort of like being social at work or all those extra stuff.
Just talking to people.
Yeah, it's like that's the energy that you're missing from a good night's sleep.
I never really looked at it that way, actually. That's right. Like, because obviously you've got no energy, and when you're feeling down,
you kind of
trying to be happy saps even more energy out of you.
Yeah.
And then by the time I get to a point where I don't have to please anyone or be happy and could just be my miserable self, anything else requires more energy.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Does it?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes sense in my head.
Sleep is good.
It makes sense in my head.
I've only sort of really just...
Are you sleeping well?
No, not at all. But then I used to sort of, I kind of like wanted to live that sort of rock and roll lifestyle, though I was kind of a night dweller. Like, I used to love, I used to work doing jobs where we'd be doing like 36-hour days just from like the show must go on. Like, that's kind of like been the mantra for my life.
When you said rock and roll, I thought it'd be like, going out partying, doing drugs till like 4 or 5 in the morning.
No, I mean like being constructed. Like, I'm
strolling out of Fabric in North London at like 6 a.m.
No, I mean I'm genuinely talking about like being on a barge in the middle of Paris, like setting up an event for a big high industry car
Just
manufacturer.
Name a big company. People will be impressed.
Who are in F1. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention them because I used to work for them, but it's been more than 10 years.
McLaren.
Yeah, them. So we did the launch of the P1, and that was that day on the actual like getting everything finalised, ready. They're doing this party. I was going for 36 hours, finished, then had to get a train at like 8 o'clock in the morning or something. Got back to the hotel at about 4:30. Didn't want to fall asleep, because if I fell asleep and missed my train, I'm not getting home. So
you're going to end up in Southampton or Portsmouth or somewhere.
So I stayed awake and then fell asleep on the train on the way home. So it was, but sleep in that sense, I didn't care. Like, I was kind of like, it's fine. Like, this is good non-sleep.
Because you were
like,
on the ball.
I'm loving it. Like, I'm kind of
hard graft
doing, yeah. And of course, that was when I was a lot younger. Now that I'm a bit older, I still feel like I can do it. And if I get into a routine, it's still manageable. But
it's a little bit more of a struggle now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Moving on.
Do you think men are better communicators than women?
Organising a night out? No. We get straight to the point. But if we're talking about like feelings,
yeah,
and stuff like that, and, and coming out with emotions, and coming out with how you're feeling, I think women do communicate better than men on that level.
For sure.
Just because I think it's going back to that culture though of the man. I'm just going to call it the
masculinity.
The man up culture. I think, as I don't know this because I'm not a female, but I feel that it's easier for a woman to come out and say to her friend or to her mum or something, look, I'm not really feeling brilliant. I'm feeling down. Yeah. I feel that's a lot easier for a girl to say, because obviously coming from a guy, you're going to get people, obviously not the person you're speaking to, but you're going to get people going, man up, mate, you're a bloke,
or at least or at least not beat around the bush about whatever it is that's going on. No, it doesn't have to necessarily be the man up thing, but just sort of well, hang on a second, why have you not considered X and Y? And then like, oh, actually, well, there you go.
Yeah, problem solved. Down the pub.
But definitely for guys who are speaking about their feelings within a relationship, I felt like I was all right at doing that. But at the same time, like, I also feel like I'm really crap at it as well.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. So men definitely, I think, like you said, we can communicate bluntly with
straight to the point
other men and to even to the opposite sex or whatever as well at times. But then like the actual sort of, I guess, like the important stuff, we are just how do you start a conversation about that with your spouse? Like,
you're right, love, how was your day? Yeah, good. Yours? Wow. There you go. You're in.
Oh yeah,
you're in.
That's pretty good, actually. Sure,
but do we do that?
I mean, I'm good at I ask those sorts of questions and stuff. Hey, maybe I'm better at this relationship thing than I thought I was. Safe spaces for emotional expression.
Cool.
Why is it hard for men to open up? Well, obviously the whole weakness thing, but fear of judgment, I suppose, and that can be said for everyone who needs to open up about
fear
something.
Of judgment.
Yeah,
because like we said earlier, we're quite lucky in the fact that we've got a little circle of people that we know if we came out with something, we're not going to be judged. But a lot of people don't have that, so I can imagine that's quite a big thing.
Yeah,
for a lot of people, because it is something that you would feel that you can be judged on.
But the thing is, again, like that judgment, that fear, the judgment of truth as well, which can be like hard to actually like face up to, because 100%. A lot of people can't be true of themselves as well in that regard. So actually having to then bring this truth to someone else, it's really fucking like, it's tricky. Even I'm just thinking of like maybe like when I'm hearing judgment, I'm thinking of like really, really shitty scenarios that people are like,
I liked your Judgment of Truth. I think that sounds like a good film name.
Judgment of Truth.
This summer, 2025.
Oh my God.
Judgment of Truth with Rob Schneider.
being misunderstood. That again would
definitely the fear of being misunderstood is enough to
put you off approaching anyone.
Yeah.
Even if it is
they kind of go hand in hand, don't they?
I suppose you'd also like you'd go in there sort of risking maybe like losing a friendship if you think like this person thinks that I'm just crazy for thinking.
And the thought of that can be scary.
The role of therapy, men's groups, online communities.
There's so many men's groups online. There's one called Calm, CALM. If I'm being completely honest, I can't remember what it stands for. Do you remember what it stands for?
No.
Community Against Low Morale.
Morale.
That was it, wasn't it?
I guess so. Something about that.
Community. Oh God, I've definitely got that wrong.
There's a couple of them as
Calm,
well.
Anyway,
you got Andy's
Man Club.
Andy's Man Club
as well. So just give these.
Which also sounds
these
fun,
couple.
But
it does, doesn't it?
But they appear to they've sort of structured themselves about talking about like all sort of like suicide prevention and things like that as well. But it is a safe environment to actually just come and just like discuss your issues and things, which is great.
It's definitely worth. We had a quick look, and it's definitely worth.
It's more like of an open platform than sort of going to pay for therapy or something like that. If you can't do that, then there are sort of free places you can go.
Exactly, and there's sort of places that aren't going to judge you as well for coming out.
From what I can see as well, again, it's not like they are qualified therapists or anything. I think it's just more like it's a community.
It's a community.
Isn't it? So
it's an
kind of what
community.
we're doing here, I suppose, in a
but
way.
Better. More productive.
So, I mean, yeah, again, if you're sort of struggling with anything like that, do get online and have a look and see, because there's going to be something right for you. I mentioned therapy. I did therapy last year.
How'd you find it?
I felt once I'd sort of got the right, because I used BetterHelp, and they you basically have like, you can go through and like almost catalogue and sort of like you can go and speak to one person this week if that's a good.
Do you pay for this therapist?
Yeah, so it's like a monthly subscription based thing.
Okay,
is BetterHelp, but again, it was that motivation to actually book and stick to that hour phone call.
Yeah. So it's done over the phone.
Yeah, you don't have to go anywhere. It's sort of all done through the app, and they call you through the app. And
so you don't get to sit on the sofa, the chaise longue.
No, but it's just again like finding time back then, like around work, sort of getting an evening.
Mm.
He was based in Scotland. I had someone else before that was like based in somewhere else, and I had sort of like a couple of like female therapists and a couple of guy therapists, and then I ended up with this last one who I just sort of felt like I kind of got me a bit more, maybe, or maybe he was just telling me things that I wanted to hear more than the other ones, possibly.
Do you find it helped at all? Or?
Once I actually then got on a call, I think it definitely helped for that little while, because there were things to then sort of think about, but then it was just not following through with a lot of those sort of bits of advice and taking control and everything else, whether that's just fear or just the lack of drive to do it. Because
the thing is as well, because it's just a phone call as well. So I don't know for you, but for me, if I went there and saw it, it felt like I was doing something more productive. Whereas
I guess so.
I don't know, that's might.
But
just
I never thought therapy was for me anyway. I think again at the start of this whole thing, I mentioned I went and spoke to someone like a couple of times or something on the NHS for free. For like the first 2 or 3 was free or something anyway, and I just didn't. I went to the first 1 or 2 and it just wasn't for me. And also I had to then sort of venture off somewhere for half hour, park up, do all that kind of thing.
All the hassle that comes with
felt like
visiting
hassle.
a hospital.
And parking's not free either, so it's sort of like, I just didn't really. I just don't know. For me, for the long term, like I think it's mainly about if you're willing to do the stuff, then that you're gonna. The more you put in, the more you're gonna get out. And unfortunately, I've just gotten into a rut where I'm just.
But then again, therapy isn't for everyone. You know,
no. But then for some people, having that one person to sort of like confide in and talk about stuff and getting different perspectives on what's going on and everything else, like actually, the idea of it, in my mind, it's great. I think maybe I'm just too bone idle or something. It just didn't. I mean, I wouldn't put off going back and doing it again. Basically, like I would still like have a look at therapy again if it's, you know, I think it would be something to go in. I mean, when I went into it, I was trying to be as open-minded as possible. So the fact that
I think that's important. You've got to be.
You have
got to go into these things open-minded
and try and let your guard down as much as you can. Because I think even the fact that if you go and make an appointment and you go and do it,
you've achieved something already. You're halfway there.
Yeah, you've taken a step actually, and that's kind of like the first thing you need to do. And it's all that, you know,
it's the first little baby steps. Yeah,
you know.
So how emotional expression benefits men? There's quite a few, isn't there?
Well, the benefits of being able to express yourself, for sure, it's going to improve your relationships, whether it's a platonic relationship or if it's a relationship you're in.
100%. I mean, like, I noticed I did it the other day, 2 days ago. I wasn't feeling great. Don't know why. But my wife, she asked me probably about 4 times during the evening, "You all right? You all right?" And every time I said, "I'm fine."
Yeah.
And then after every time I said I'm fine, I thought to myself, why did I say that? Why did I do it? Why did you do it, Matthew?
We've sort of mentioned about like maybe men being better at communicating, but not about the emotional stuff.
Exactly. But it would have benefited me
just
if I had actually just said,
"These are the things.
Look, love, I'm not happy at the moment." It was nothing that she'd done. It was just nothing in particular. I didn't know what was making me feel like that. I was just feeling really anxious. I didn't know why. And I went to bed like feeling like I had something on my back. It was horrible, and I didn't sleep very well. And like, even thinking about that now, I should have just said, "I'm not feeling brilliant."
Why do you reckon you didn't? Was it just to save?
I don't know.
A conversation from, like, was it just hopefully you wouldn't have been asked another like 3 or 4 times or something?
Probably. I mean, the fact that she asked like 4 times,
you were obviously doing something that was, even just in solitude, you're just probably just being quiet. Or
I mean, I think that was probably it. I was probably just being quiet, and you know, I don't really know why I did it. I should have. You know, and we're using this platform to like embrace to everyone, saying it's great to talk and, you know, tell everyone and stuff like that. But I wasn't actually doing it myself. You know, so if I go home later and she asks if I'm okay, I'll say, "Well, I am now, but yesterday." Yeah, so I think obviously, you know, it does play a big part in a relationship.
Yeah,
because she could see I wasn't all right, and it just wasn't. You know,
and especially as it's someone who sees you every day as well, so they know when something is
exactly.
Up.
She knows.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even see my mum every day. I see my mum, you know, once every couple of weeks. But she can always tell.
Yeah,
she can always tell when I'm not myself.
Yeah,
and she only told me that a couple of days ago. We had a barbecue, and she was like, "I do know, when there's something,
though, isn't
when
it?
There's something up." I was like, "I'm fine."
Go and cry in the showers, Matthew.
But yeah, like she said, I can always tell when there's something wrong.
So
that's mother's intuition, isn't it?
Melody and I have been talking about like trying to set aside more like nights together and stuff, because again, I mean, most of the time, like Melody we'll be putting the kids down together, and then I'll say goodnight, I'll come downstairs, avoid doing the washing up, do something else or what have you.
Terrible husband.
And then Melody will either fall asleep or she will get up, and then she'll be working on, I don't know, whatever it is that she's got on, or this, because Melody does edit our chat videos. So we don't really sort of see each other, and then obviously like then there'll be evenings where I'll be doing this when we do band practices again, where I'll be, you know, we sort of, it's finding that balance, but it's just actually like
it's difficult
finding time to do
really
something
difficult.
together. So it's definitely impacting like the romanticness of a marriage, because obviously
100%.
Being parents, it doesn't stop you from being husband and wife, but again, like I find it really, really
throws
hard
a
to
spanner
sort
in
of,
the works.
And I find it hard to sort of put on like a romantic kind of vibe or what have you these days, especially when I just don't like the way that I am, like looking, feeling, and all the rest
No,
of it. It's so hard to sort of try and be sexy,
understand that.
you know. But
talking about, we're both really sexy.
So I don't know. And again, I just sort of do it in a really sort of like weird man way. We kind of did sort of have this little discussion.
Poke
so I'll go and just grab a boob and just say romance, and that's my way.
How's that go down?
It's okay, I guess.
Yeah.
But I'm just sort of like that. I'm showing you that I'm aware that I know that we have like maybe an issue there with a lack of it. So I'm sort of saying that and doing that as like again using humour as the mechanism here, and just saying the word romance. It's that basically it's like saying
I'm surprised you didn't fall at your feet.
I am fully aware that I need to be doing better and stuff. But it's setting aside that time.
I might try that with Maria and see what happens.
Yeah.
Romance.
She'll be like, you've been spending time with Mike again, haven't you? Sorry. But then, yeah, even like with your platonic friendships, the benefits of expressing oneself, the weight is off your shoulders.
Which automatically makes you feel better.
Yeah.
It's all about trying to shift that weight off your shoulders.
You feel better knowing that they sort of know, because then they're fully aware of things that are going on. Even if they can't even do anything about it, just the fact that someone else knows, like that is a massive sort of relief. When we have sort of then come into a group and gone, last year I think I was like, oh, I'm a bit ill at the minute, guys, and it was a bit like I didn't want to put it into a message, but I just putting it into the group message, and that group mate just felt totally fine and normal to do.
Well, yeah, because we didn't know that you were going through a load of shit. So
yeah, so that was like,
we just thought you were ill.
Yeah, so it was nice to sort of just have that weight off your shoulders. Everyone knows. Obviously, everyone was so fucking sweet about it all and stuff, and then turns out it was nothing anyway. Like all healthy, other than being really fat, which is all that I feel the GPs sort of like tell you. That, well, for me, like I say, they just go, you just need to lose weight, and it's like, yep, haven't done that, so I can't even. That's why I avoid going to the GPs now, because it's like, well, the one thing you've told me to do, I sort of did, but then
they're just going to tell me I'm fat
again. So, yeah. But yeah, of course, like, I mean, there are so many benefits to being able to talk about your issues and everything else, surely.
Yeah, definitely.
Regardless. So there you are.
Definitely.
Try and talk about it.
Next one, we'll talk about role models, representations.
So what were like...
So like public figures, like who are showing emotion now. There's more public figures that are being open about, like, going to therapy and stuff like that.
That's true. And also you have then the social media platforms as well, where
which is massive nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah, where the lives of celebrities and your heroes, you can just sort of like, you can learn so much more about them these days than just sort of like a weekly magazine that might have them in it or something. And then I suppose you have like all of the reality TV stuff and things like that. I
can't comment on that. I'm not into reality TV, Love Island, none of that. I can't.
But then I suppose like something like.
But didn't that didn't someone from Love Island kill themselves?
Yes,
a while ago.
No, it wasn't too long ago. I don't.
It wasn't too long ago, was it? Because she was suffering abuse online.
Wow,
I think it was. I could be well wrong here. It could be a guy. I don't know, but I know it was online abuse. And she committed suicide.
I mean, I suppose you don't have to be sort of in the public eye to be getting online abuse. That will be happening at schools and things as well, which you hear of stories like that, which are just heartbreaking. And again, these are kids that might not even necessarily be coming forward about what's actually going on.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
that was nasty. That wasn't very nice.
Yeah. And then I suppose the flip side of it as well, like we were talking about, like crying and everything else being like signs of weaknesses and stuff, but then you always see like your sports heroes crying, not so much. Well, I mean, you see United crying now for different reasons, but back then, like I was watching fully grown men
most of the time it's England at a penalty
with
shootout,
elation, or something like that, which like really moves emotions, and then seeing like fully grown men like crying. But again, like these are people who have worked really, really hard to sort of get to that position, and then it sort of not work out for them. Like, I guess I'd on the magnitude of things, I'd probably be feeling the same, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when we lost on penalties to Italy, and Bukayo Saka missed a penalty, and he was in absolute floods of tears.
Yeah.
I was just like, I just wanted to give him a big hug.
Yeah, I said Rashford was going to miss his one as well, to be fair, before it was taken. But with like football, with emotions, I'm even like thinking back, like when you actually saw it when you're a bit younger. Actually, you like, I suppose that's a bit different in the sense that that was a tragedy, wasn't it? That was like that was sadness, and like the commentary and everything from that day was weird, and especially we was like 6-7 years old.
Yeah.
So again, we were really young, but like I mean, at
that age, I didn't really understand what was happening. I just knew it was a big crash.
Because when we were younger, actually, like, I don't know if again that's just kind of like juvenile sort of thinking, but when you saw like maybe not players on your team, but the other team like crying and stuff, and you're like, eh.
2012,
like
when we won the Champions League final, when Bastian Schweinsteiger missed that penalty.
Yep.
He was in tears, and I'm sitting there going, nah!
Yeah, to be fair, we were the same with Terry in 2008 as well. So
yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, even then, you were sort of like, not so much that's kind of like breaking down the masculinity. It was like, no, it kind of is, because you're sort of like,
it's showing,
you're a loser, like that's just terrible.
But it is showing emotion, isn't it?
That's terrible masculinity behaviour, really. Well, is it like me? Like, yeah. But then now, but like you say, like, but when then with Saka, like we're then what 12 plus years older from, like,
which is
then.
mental, isn't it?
And then you're like, yeah, someone put an arm around that lad, and I guess, but maybe because he was one of our own, that we were
15 years older than Saka.
Oh, God, really?
He's on what, like 150 grand a week? That's enough to make me feel depressed.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's just how it is. We are. I mean, any footballer that's playing at the minute at the top level is going to be younger than us. There's no going to be a 30, other than Ronaldo. There's not going to be anyone that's 37, that hasn't retired that's actually going to be like. So it doesn't matter when they're like, they were born in '94. Oh, you. And they're close to retiring. What?
Moving on. Last point, really, we're going to cover how to start opening up. Now, obviously, it's a subject that we've touched on before. The simple, like, what's been on your mind lately, or how, like, for you, especially when you broke your stigma.
How are you really feeling?
How are you really feeling?
Yeah.
Those sorts of questions are so important, I feel. And it's so easy to say as well. You're not, like, asking someone. That might just be like the little trigger that now someone has the freedom to say, you know what, I'm not feeling great.
Yeah.
You know, that can be a trigger to let someone. I'm really struggling with my words to get out here.
Sorry, I'm not helping you at all.
No, I don't expect your help. I don't want your help. I don't need your help. But
you're sending the wrong message here, Matthew.
Yeah. That can help someone actually talk about how they're actually feeling for the first time.
Yeah, so again, like, I think the sort of the two things that I'd sort of take away from here is actually, like you say, sort of how to start opening up, whether you are the one that's going through something, or if you're someone who is watching someone that you care about sort of going through it. And obviously, like, finding those sort of like phrases to try and help, but it's also finding that safe place and finding that sort of, whether it just be like over a phone or physically somewhere that you actually can go to someone like your friend's house, or like you being here or what have you, like
little safe space,
and sort of trying to find those, maybe trying to find a little safe space with someone that you actually like really do like trust, and just be as bold as just saying, I'm not all right.
It's like we said before.
You will be amazed at how that conversation will possibly change your life. Like,
the first step to improvement is talking about it.
Yeah, it's acknowledging that there's a problem and saying, I need a chat about this. And it could be anything. It doesn't have to be something like crazy. Like, it's whatever is personal to you, what you're going through. Like, we're all different. We're all going through individual experiences. Some of us can interpret what you're going through like well, others can't. And maybe that's also something else to consider if you are looking at opening up. Maybe someone who actually has experience in what it is you're going through. I know someone who has lost a parent. I've had people come and talk to me because they know that I went through it.
That's nice.
And it was nice to actually...
Not they lost their parent. Like.
But it was quite... I want to say like liberating for me in a way to sort of be the one to worry about.
It made you feel, quite nice because you're helping someone because you know how that feels.
Yeah, it was nice, but it was also quite hard as well because the thing is, I couldn't just be like, it'll be all right.
Exactly.
It'll be okay. But like, no, actually, this is going to be fucking shit for a long time for you. Like, you're really gonna struggle.
But you have to be strategic in the way that you say that.
Well, I'm blunt like that at times, and it depends on who it is that actually has the issue.
I suppose it depends if you know them or not, doesn't it?
And yeah, I think for me, I was just kind of like quite blunt with these people of like, it will be shit, but it's meant to be. Like, you've got a heart, you've got a conscience. You're like-minded people. Like, you
love that person.
You love that person so much that if you didn't miss them, you'd probably be considered a heartless bitch or a twat or whatever. So you've got to embrace that whilst you're going through it. It's like we've got another friend who recently went through a tragedy that's similar, and I've always maintained that individual just needs like a bit of time just to sort of reset himself, like
100%.
Go and be crazy, go and do whatever. I mean, I know that I push people away to a certain degree, and I'm not going to begrudge people doing that when they're going through their own struggles and stuff. But as long as they are aware, like I was, that when the time was right to then sort of try and fix it, then
we're all here.
I was lucky enough to have that support group. I didn't have to go and find it, whereas if you're going to have to go and try and find it, then it will seem more of a struggle and encourage anxiety in a certain way. But I think you're just going to have to let it go. And we hope you do.
So remember, understanding that emotional strength isn't about never breaking. It's about being authentic.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks, guys. If you've enjoyed this video, please do click the like and subscribe button.
We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I've been Mike.
No, I've been Mike. I've been Matt. And this is the chat. Thank you so much. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.
That was good, actually.